Hey guys, it's Alan here. Today we're going to cover C 4.2, which is basically one of the exercises that we covered in class last week. And this will be review for those of you that were in class, but this will be new for those who weren't in class. And it's a pretty important lesson because we're teaching now. We've gone through all the basics of how to use spreadsheets. Now we're actually going to apply them to real-world examples. And let me pause here and take note of something new that you probably see on your screen, and it's basically in the right lower hand corner of your screen. There's a webcast of my hands on the keyboard, so this is totally real time, and hopefully this will help you even further in trying to see how we're using keyboard shortcuts. Notice my hand position, all that kind of stuff. Now, just to give you a quick little glimpse of how we're able to bring you this technological marvel, this innovation that we've created. Here is my iPhone, and that's me. Yep, that's a real-time picture of me with a webcam strapped to my head. Amazing what they have nowadays in terms of technology. Okay, let's move on here. I'm going to go to my spreadsheet. So go to the spreadsheet that you've been using in class. Mine is called Alan Spreadsheet, and add a sheet. Now rename that sheet, you guessed it, C 4.2, which is our lesson. So I'm using my mouse obviously right now, as you can see my right hand right here, but we're going to be switching to the keyboard shortly. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up another window and go to google.com. Now google.com, press medal, or type in medal count, as in medal count for the 2012 Olympics. The first result that you see is Google's own calculation of the leaderboard. Guess what this looks like? Does this look familiar to anyone? Of course, it's a data set that we've been working with in Google Spreadsheet. And we're going to take this data and put it into a Google Spreadsheet. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Let's take a quick look at the first 5 on this leaderboard. It's sorted by the gold medals, as you can see, reverse order. China has the most gold medals, so therefore it's on top. But look what's happening between Korea and France here. France, on a total basis, actually has 26 medals versus 22 for Korea. So what if you were particular to France or whatever reason, and you wanted to resort this list, and you said to Google, hey Google, I don't like the way you guys are sorting this. I'm going to do it myself. So let's do that. And what's going to happen is we're going to sort by the total instead of the gold medal column. And as you probably recognize from what we learned in class, this is basically a data sorting exercise. But the first thing we need to do is to get this data into Google Spreadsheets. That's pretty simple enough. All you got to do, copy this entire thing by clicking on your right hand button on the mouse and clicking all the way down, dragging all the way down. You should be able to select the entire selection. Ctrl+C, and you could see from this little window right here the actual keys that I'm pressing. Go to excuse me, go to your spreadsheet. Now Ctrl+V, right, for copy pasting. It's going to copy paste everything in here. Now remember, your Google Spreadsheet, once the data is in here, you can do whatever you want to the data. If you think, what happened here? Well, the problem is this data, whenever you copy paste it from an HTML environment like Google, it's never perfect. For example, you see that all of China is kind of moved off to the right one cell. So what can you do? Well, we learned this in class. Control, select this entire thing. Control X to cut it. Control V, and right click. Arrow key right once. Control V to copy it, and you have everything in order. Now, these 64 and 2 and stuff like that, these are basically, the 64 is the total, which should be in this column. Now, one way that you can get all these numbers to the right hand column is to copy paste, but that's a lot of work, and really 64 is a formula, right? All you're doing is adding these 3 cells. we've already learned how to add these cells. So in other words, we don't really need this column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all these numbers. How can you delete these numbers? Well, one way to do it really quickly is what we learned in class. Select the entire column, which we learned, which is what? Control spacebar. How do you delete this? Press delete once. Great. It's clean now. We don't really have any more numbers in there. What can we do? So now we're in the process of, we want to sort this list by not by the gold medal count, which is column C, but by the total. So we need to create a new total here. How can we do that? Let's go to F and put in a formula that adds the 3 medal counts, the 3 types of medals per country. Equal this, plus this, and notice you see my hand here, I'm using the arrow keys. I don't have to type anything in. Press enter. Now I'm going to control copy this, and I guess I can I guess I can paste this to the entire column. So let's do that. Control V. So you have all the totals here, except we have a problem here. This is value here, which is basically an error message. And why is that? Well, one way to check the cell is to press F2. Press F2 and you get the trail of which cells it's looking at. What's wrong with this picture? Well, you have 6 here, you have a 1 here, but in this middle cell you have a dash. What does that dash represent? Well, it means Kazakhstan didn't get any silvers yet. So we need to replace this with a 0, right? So let's type in 0 here, press enter, and guess what? We're good. But this value is everywhere. We can go through each one and type in 0, but of course that takes too much time. So what if we wanted to replace all the dashes in here with 0? Here's something new that you haven't learned yet. How would I select all 3 of these columns? Because basically I want to select all the numbers on this spreadsheet, except of course the total. I want to select all these columns. How do I do that? Well, we learned how to select one entire column, which is control spacebar. Now how would we select columns D and E? Well, we could press shift, hold it down, and the right key going. Oops. Don't worry about that. That's just the thing. Okay, shift, hold it down. Now we selected all the numbers on here. We're going to do a replace. So we want to get to the edit menu. We're not going to use our mouse, remember. We're going to press alt+E, alt+E, and see down there in the menu you see find and replace, which is F. Find and replace. What are we trying to find? Well, it's that dash. What do we replace it with? 0. So you're going to have to use your mouse here. Actually, I think you could use your tab. Yeah, you can actually use your tab. You don't even have to touch your mouse. Just keep pressing the tab until you see replace all selected. Press enter. And it said done. Okay, so that should have worked. Let's take a look. Yeah, so remember all those dashes? And there were a lot of them down here. All have been replaced with zeros, which is giving us a good formula in column F. Oops. Got that? Okay. Now what are we going to do? What were we trying to do from the very beginning? Let's go to the top here. We're trying to sort all these countries by what? The gold medal, silver, or bronze? No, we were trying to sort it by the total number of medals. Why? Because we thought France should be above Korea. We believe that's the way that medals should be counted. So how do we sort this entire list really easily? It has to do with data sort, but first you have to select the entire data set. One way to do it, which we just learned, was to select the entire column, which is column spacebar. Hold down the shift key, arrow to the right, let go, you've selected the entire selection. Now if we wanted to sort our data, where is it? It's in the menu bar. And how do we access the menu bar? Using the alt key. Alt what? Alt data as in D, so alt D. And here we get an option of what we want to sort this data set by. Column B, no, that's a gold medal thing. So we're going to have to find another solution here, which is sort the range. Press S. Use your mouse and say, well, which column do you want to sort it by? It's the F. Go to column F. Do we want to sort it in order? In other words, A to Z, or 1 through 100, or do we want to sort it from 100 going downward? We want to go reverse order because we want the most number of metals on top. So press Z to A, click on sort, and here we have it. Remember that spreadsheet that we saw? So let's compare this. Let's take a look at, I'm going to shift between tabs in Google Chrome, which is Control Page Up, and I get to see the leaderboard right here, which says China, US, Great Britain, Korea, and then France in that order. But here we actually see a completely different story. It's funny, I wasn't even anticipating Japan to be on there. But when you sort by the total metal count, suddenly France is beaten out by Japan and Korea is beaten out by France. So there you have it, one way to take data on the internet which you don't really agree with, and putting it into a spreadsheet and sorting it on your own. And you could think of all the other ways that you can sort this as well. For example, hey, what if you wanted to sort everything by silver metals? I don't know why you would want to do that, but why not? Just for yucks, we can do it. Alt+d. Remember, when something weird happens like that, just start over. alt+d+s. Sort by what? Not F, but D, which is the silver metal. And sort by that, and we see that China has the most silver metals, and Russia has the next, and United States, etc. So there you go, folks. C 4.2. If you weren't in class, try this in class and upload it to YouTube so I can see how you're doing it.